John McKinley, you've talked earlier about how a small company can start up now and subscribe to 21 cloud-based software as a service programs to get its business running. You've also bought software and technology for very large enterprises. Typically the cloud services oftentimes have been focused on smaller companies because they don't have the legacy investments enterprise softwares do. They have a huge installed base of traditional software. How do you see that for the enterprises? How do you see that evolving? I mean, are they going to switch? Are they going to coexist? Are they going to?
I think, I go back and think we were consumers of, I'll call some cloud-based services even 10 years ago. If you think of Akamai and some of the content distribution networks, Bloomberg, we couldn't exist on Wall Street without the Bloomberg. And there were people who tried to take some early steps into hosted services in the cloud. I think part of the challenges back then was the capital risk they took. When they were investing in proprietary servers, et cetera, it was an expensive bet. And if they were on the wrong side of the CapEx planning, they wound up having a cost structure that wasn't as competitive as what I could go out and buy hosting for on the spot market from somebody. That's really changed. I mean, with all of the use of, I'll call commoditized hardware in the world, people can be effective, in terms of providing horsepower on demand services like Amazon and others. I think the big things were also things around reliability and security. Reliability, I think people have gotten better for these hosted services. When they got out there early on, you still see that. You still see that if you're using Google Apps, it's not a 5.9 service. The providers have to bring their availability up to acceptable levels to allow themselves to compete with the psychology of a buyer, a CIO or a CTO in a big organization. Security is another work in process because you can do an awful lot when the applications and the servers are in the four walls of your enterprise. You start getting a lot more nervous, especially in this Sarbanes-Oxley type world, when you have critical data flowing outside the four walls of your organization. People are making steps forward. You saw Amazon recently support the concept of virtual private networks now, where you can effectively now build a fence around the servers, both within your organization and also the ones that you have data within Amazon as well. But that's still a work in process. And so I don't think until it's still pretty, as I said, a bunch of work in process for enterprises, large enterprises, willing to, I'll call, bet the bank on wall-to-wall embracing of cloud computing. It's going to be a journey, but I think they're starting to knock down some of the barriers each year.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Just to add, I was reading one of the trade magazines in the last week about cloud computing, and the suggestion was that either Amazon or Google or one of them, when asked, absolutely refused to certify for HIPAA compliance, and said, nope, we're not doing that, we're not taking that business. I think it was HIPAA, it might have been Sarbanes, but probably HIPAA. And so that raises some interesting questions, and that's what the story was about. Could large organizations actually use the cloud if the provider wasn't going to certify? And I'm not sure I understood why they felt they couldn't do it. Maybe it was an exposure issue, but that to me threw a big wrinkle into the cloud for the big organizations.